Talking to my inspiring friend, Elayne Whyte Gómez, the former Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and UN Ambassador from Costa Rica, helps us rethink how we approach and deal with globalization, our international interconnectedness and interdependence, and complex adaptive systems. As president of the UN conference, Elayne led the global negotiations for the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, signed by over 100 states and adopted in 2021. We live in a world that has traditionally focused our thinking on linear, binary thinking with a silo mentality. A world that thinks more in terms of black and white, cause and effect, and making binary choices between this or that. And yet we live in a world that is much more complex and complicated. We don't live in silos. We live in a world of interconnectedness and interdependence. A world that is surrounded by complex adaptive systems, systems that are constantly changing, and a world that is pivoting at a rapid rate. Systems are everywhere. They're in our bodies. Our vascular, our cardio, our lymphatic systems, they're in the world, our world of governments, our government systems, our favorite football teams, in our communities, and in the organizations we work in. It begs three questions. The first, what is a system? A system is a group of interactive elements working towards a common goal. The second question, what is systems thinking? Systems thinking is a holistic approach to problem solving and decision making. It is a process of understanding of how these interactive elements influence each other, the common goal, and the system as a whole. The third important question, what is a complex adaptive system? But critically, how do we identify them? Tim Sullivan, the former editorial director of Harvard Business Review Press, helps us with three defining features. We borrow an example from nature, from ants and ant colonies, to help us explain this concept. The first feature is that complex adaptive systems have heterogeneous agents, individual ants, if you like, that decide how to behave, their conduct. Some ants may choose to be foragers and collect edible food. Others do midden work to analyze the trash to seek out edible food. The second feature is that these individual agents or ants interact a lot locally. And it's this very interaction that leads to the third feature, which scientists call emergence. When a lot of ants interact locally and communicate, an ant colony emerges. In real terms, it is the colony, the system as a whole, that is greater than the performance of all these individual ants. And when that happens, that is when we have emergence, and that is when we have a complex adaptive system. What does this mean in our challenging world today? Well, firstly, we need to understand complex adaptive systems. Secondly, we cannot understand the system by simply understanding its individual parts. But perhaps most importantly, it is the system, the ant colony as a whole, more than the individual ants, that takes on a whole new life form. It is the system, the colony, that becomes robust, resilient, adaptive, and has a development life cycle to ensure that the ant colony achieves a higher level of performance, of competence, and success. So until next time, remember that leading boldly is about making thoughtful, clear choices. And bold leadership is about taking bold action, just one small step at a time, one step for you, but together within complex adaptive systems, a giant step for humanity. Take care and take thoughtful, bold action.